Radio Raumstation. Music 24 hours a day.
Today with Melvin Donovan. Hi Melvin, a big hug for agreeing to make this interview with Radio Raumstation, and welcome on air. In our eyes, you are one of the most lovely networkers we have in our small music family here. Tell us, how did you come to music?
Hello, Melanie, and thank you for that very kind intro and for inviting me to have this opportunity to speak with you directly. I've listened to your previous interviews, and I must say you're doing a really great job, and I've found them both very interesting and enlightening. So it's really a pleasure to do this with you. My earliest memories are of music or listening to my transistor radio while I should be in bed asleep, and I'd be under the covers with the radio playing different music. I used to watch Ozzie and Harriet on TV, and I thought Ricky Nelson was a very cool guy, and he had some songs out that he did on the show also, and they were played on the radio, so I would listen to them. Elvis Presley movies were out and very popular, and I really dug his movies, but I never caught the Presley craze. I don't know why. I just didn't have that, I got to go see him. And then the Beatles came along and Ed Sullivan, and that kind of changed everything. I think my first album was Meet the Beatles. And my parents had bought a brand new stereo system for that time. It was the state of the art. We had giant speakers on individual stands, and it was the first stereos that were coming out. And they had a soundtrack from a TV show that was on at the time called Victory at Sea. And I even really liked the music to that show. And I can hear it in my head right now, as a matter of fact. They also had the soundtrack to Exodus, the movie. And I always really liked that, the instrumental song that's the backtrack to that movie.
How did you feel when you discovered that there is a world outside your personal contacts to do music with?
The short answer is I felt like a kid in a candy store where all the candy was free due to a lack of money. I didn't get a computer until the year 2011, believe it or not. So I'm relatively new to the internet. And a guy at work named Frank finally talked me into getting one. And he happens to also be the guy who came up with the name the Melvinator. Many people don't know this, but there was a refrigerator called the Kelvinator. And I work in the refrigerator department in our store, so that's why he made the link. And I knew what he was talking about because I'd heard of Kelvinators before. So we both thought that was pretty funny. But he talked me into getting a computer. I was shocked when I finally started getting online. I joined Reverb Nation first, I believe. And on Reverb Nation, I met Kai Botak, who was kind enough to really help me out in learning the ropes of Facebook. And I also was able to work with one of her songs called War Ghost, which was that was an awesome chance for me. The song was based on a chance meeting she had with a soldier come back from Iraq, and it's a very sad story, very touching. And, the guy just spilled his heart out to her, and she'd never seen him before that, and never saw him again after that. But the song inspired her to write, that meeting inspired her to write that song. And it turned out really awesome for a live recording. Also on Reverb Nation, I ran into Bud Zunga, who happens to be, at the time was very active on vandalism as well. And he's the one that invited me to vandalism and opened that whole world to me. That just changed everything. For the first few months, I just went to Vandalism and spent the time listening and reading comments from everyone, kind of getting to know everyone and feel things out as to how it worked. And I thought it was very cool how you had direct contact with people, especially if they were online at the time and replied immediately to your comment. This was so different from Reverb Nation. It was much more personal, which I liked a lot.
So on Vandalism, who was your first collaboration partner there?
So I'm going to Vandalism and just checking people out by listening to their music and reading their comments. And over several months, certain people started to stand out. And one of them was a guy who wore these sunglasses that were like aviator glasses. And he used the same cover photo for almost all his songs. And his songs all were really great, really well produced, excellent musicianship. So I posted my first song called The Circus. And, people were making comments, which was cool. And then I get a personal message from H.G. Smits, who is none other than the guy with the aviator glasses. And he said, Melvin, do you mind if I add some drums and some guitar to the circus? And I was blown away because, he's one of the best people on there. And he's the first one to contact me. So I'm like, sure, yeah, but I don't know how to send files or anything. So he had the patience of a saint because he walked me through how to create the files and how to move them from my recorder over to the laptop and then send them to him. And I mean, I took forever to learn how to do it. I just was new to computers, so I wasn't really familiar with what I was trying to do. So that was my first collaboration, and The Circus is on my Vandalism page if anybody wants to hear it. And the lead guitar he did at the end was just totally blows me away. It even blows me away now that when I hear it. H.G. went on to become my music mentor. And it was to my good fortune and pleasure that we went on to do quite a few songs over the years.
So I know you do sing and play the guitar. How did you learn this? Are you autodidact or had some teachers?
Because I didn't know how to play anything, obviously, and wasn't going to spend a lot of money on it. So she also got me lessons with a music teacher who I went to see for half an hour. He would open up a chord book, circle 3 chords, show me how to play them, like on the diagram, and then say, go home and practice these, and then come back the next time and play them for me. So I did this for about 3 weeks and decided, I could do this on my own without paying for it. So I just told my mom, forget the lessons, I'll just learn it by myself. And that's how I began to learn the chords on guitar. And then I learned songs by listening to them and figuring out what they were playing. And I have to admit, I wasn't actually 100% accurate all the time, but I did the best I could do. The very first song I learned how to play on one string was Louie Louie by the Kingsmen, which at the time was really a hot hit. So eventually I was learning by ear, and of course now you can go on YouTube and learn how to play any song just by watching the tutorials on there.
Melvin, we want to come to your music. What was your first recording you can play for us here now?
Well, the first song we ever did recording-wise, and this was a multi-track recording where we were overdubbing our vocal parts and adding instruments. And the way we were doing this, believe it or not, was we had a reel-to-reel tape machine, and in between we had a Radio Shack 4-track mic mixer, which is like a $12 piece of equipment. And when we record us playing the guitar or whatever, the reel-to-reel, then play that back and add some vocals to it and bounce it over to the cassette, and then play the cassette back and add some more stuff to it, bouncing it back to the reel. And as you can imagine, all this bouncing back and forth left awful lot of wobble in the final recording, because it kept getting worse and worse as it went along. That was back in 1977, I think, and we did it in my my living room in the apartment I was living in at the time. And anyway, I'm going to Ken wrote the song. I'm going to introduce it to you. It's called Sunshine Lady, and believe me, you're going to hear the wobble. But it also showcases the vocals blends we were getting from singing together all the time around the campfires and just playing around we used to play and sing a lot. And we always had a good time. So here's Sunshine Lady.
Sunshine Lady makes me happy. Her graceful magic fills the air. Sunshine wakes me from my window. She's not there, but I know what it's like to kiss her and understand the love she brings. I know what it's like to hold her. She makes me sing about the love that we can't live without within our dream. A fragrance like a summer shower, a whisper music to my ears, a sweetness that will never sour, not by years. And every time that we're together, candid by a sparkling eye, I want to live forever, watching the sky.
How many voices you laid over each other in this. It's very nice, and it's a piece of music history, I think. You like a lot this 12-string guitar. Is it difficult to play, and why do you love especially this instrument?
Yes, the 12-string guitar. Well, my earliest recollections is of the Byrds doing a cover of Mr. Tambourine Man by Bob Dylan.
Hey,
and I just so loved the sound of that 12-string guitar that I bought the album, Meet or whatever it was called, and I loved all those songs on it there. 8 Miles High comes to mind. The Bells of Rhythmy, they all employed an electric 12-string guitar, and I liked that so much that I went out and bought a Fender electric 12-string like David Crosby used. And I still have it, and it's sitting right in the room right now. I've used it on several original tunes of mine, including one that you sang on, at least one that you sang on. So you might be familiar with that. Is it hard to play? Well, I know it's hard to change the strings. It's a pain in the neck because there's 12 of them instead of 6. But it is hard on the fingers, and it's very hard to do any kind of lead guitar stuff on it. However, after you build up the calluses, it takes several months to do that, actually. It's not really any harder to play than a regular guitar. And I've just gotten so used to using it that I don't even think about it anymore. It's basically, to me, a 12-string is the regular guitar, and a 6-string sounds different. Oh, and another major influence was in the movie Help with the Beatles, when they did You've Got to Hide Your Love Away, and John's sitting there playing the 12-string. And that movie just blew me away totally to begin with. But that scene especially really touched me, and that stuck with me. I really wanted to have that sound.
I need to look this movie again. I forgot so many. Tell us, what do you think is the most important moment in your music?
Looking back on it now, there were several different moments that had a critical change in my musical direction. The first one that comes to mind is obviously the Beatles on Ed Sullivan. That night, I watched it all and listened, and was just the electricity from hearing their music just energized me and inspired me to go from just listening and singing along to wanting to learn how to create that music. I'd say the next big moment was when our group Traveler finally formed together, and we went on to become a working band, playing everywhere that our agent sent us, and he sent us everywhere, trust me. But we never knew if we were going to play in a one-room frat house or an auditorium or what. So we always loaded up the van with everything we had, and then we used whatever was appropriate for the situation. But, Traveler helped fulfill the playing music. We were going to create music. That was the whole point to start with. But that kind of got lost in the need to make a living doing it. So, and then the next major moment was when Traveler broke up. And that was the end of the high school dream of being a working band for a living. And that really, it broke my heart, and I know it really affected everybody in the group, because we were really bummed out that we were going to have to face reality and get real jobs. So I quit music. I mean, totally. I didn't even listen to anything, play anything. I didn't want anything to do with music from the end of 1983 all the way until 2007. And I was watching a TV show, American Idol. And that turned the whole thing around for me, because I was so impressed with how these people, these young artists that didn't know each other at all, were all thrown together and told they had to create a song overnight and present it to the judges to make it through the first round of judging. And to see them progress and develop over the course of that show, really, it just inspired me to start playing again. It took me almost a year to get back to the point where I could play my guitar for a couple hours in a row without stopping, because like I said earlier, the 12-string, it takes a lot of time to build up the calluses on your fingers so you can play without pain. And then the final major event was absolutely coming to Vandalism, changed everything once again. And that opened up a whole new world of music and opportunity. And the quality of musicians there, and the quality of the people. I mean, it seemed like most of the artists there had already gone through all that early stage where they wanted to be rock stars and make a living and, be the Beatles, basically. And had fallen through, given up music for a while, raised families and whatnot, and had come back to music. And everybody was mature and gotten over that ego trip stuff, basically.
Did you ever write your own lyrics as well, and maybe have a recording of that?
Over the years, I've written many original songs that include the lyrics as well as the music. It's only recently, as you know well, that I'll create the music and send them to another artist to ask them to add the lyrics and vocals, such as yourself. And this has been working out really great, and I really enjoy that a lot. I mean, it's hard to say just how much I like doing that. But anyway, one of my earliest songs was the Brack of the Delaware Bay, and that was basically based on a story of a shipwreck off the Cape Henlopen here in Delaware, and it was alleged to have all kinds of gold on it that sometimes washed up on shore and people would find gold coins. And it's basically, it's just a fantasy song, but that was the start of it. The song I want to share with you here is another song from H.G. Schmidt's. And I learned so many different things from H.D. that it's hard I could spend a whole night just talking about that. But in this case, the way it worked between us is frequently he would send me the music already done. And he'd say, Melvin, this song, it seems right for you. I would like you to write the lyrics and sing the vocals on it, if you would. All I ask is you keep the title of the song. And this is how he did it a lot. And sometimes I would write the songs and I'd send them to him to add drums or bass or whatever, different instruments. But I would take care of the vocals and the lyrics. In this case, the song's called Everything Will Turn Out Well. And that's the title he sent me with the music. And I had to work with that. Well, as often happened between us, it came right to me. I didn't have to think about it hardly at all. And the song basically wrote itself because it was about our current president, Donald Trump, who neither H.G. or I are very fond of, to say the least. So it ended up being a protest song. And as it turns out, there were several of our songs that ended up being protest songs, even though that might not have been the original intent or the main idea to start with. So anyway, here is Everything Will Turn Out Well by H.G. Schmidt's and myself.
Hey, family, Eddie Lou, Sister Sue, and Johnny too. There's a new circus, it's rolling into town, so come on down. I heard a bell up in smarting up the street. That new orange cloud that everyone's just dying to meet. Bring your hammers and your saws. We're gonna build us a great big wall. Everything will turn out well. What the hell? Everything is gonna turn out well. In the end, going to D.C., gonna drain that big old swamp. Anyone that gets in our way, well, we're gonna stomp. But first, let's have. There'll be chilly cakes of beer. I'm on birds from bar and beer. Everything will turn out well. Everything will turn out well. But what's that smell? All right, let's see. Let's get rid of that old Obamacare and get Hillary the hell out of our hair. Next up, we'll put Rex T as head of state. His close ties with Putin were sure to help make America great. Okay! Fill the cabinet with the heads of Goldman Sachs. The same guy that caused the market crash a few years back. Put Bannon in charge of a big old act. Heads would roll if there's even a hint of any pushback. Everything will turn out well. Everything will turn out well. What the hell? Everything will turn out well. Everything will turn out well. But what's that smell?
Cool flow here. I didn't know this song. Tell us, do you meet some important people of music in your life?
Oh boy, I never really played with anybody famous. Back when in one of my earliest groups, we played at a high school concert with a band called The American Dream. They had a single out that was being played locally. Crap, I don't even remember the name of it now. The only other person I know of any national attention was George Thorogood. And actually, I jammed with him at my friend's house. He was playing bass at the time. And just playing around. This is before he made it big in the United States. And to tell you the truth, I wasn't really thrilled with what he was doing. Which shows how much I know. Out of all the people in our area that made it big, I'd say he was probably the least talented, believe it or not.
Let's speak again about HG and the collabos you made. One day you told me he's a song monster. What did you mean with that? And what was the most important song you made with him?
Oh, HG, yes. I was so fortunate to work with HG frequently. He taught me so many things, actually, about how to physically do things with files and whatnot, as I said. But also, his idea of just send a song to the other artists and let them do their thing. Don't give them a whole lot of direction. I want this, I want that. Just say, here, add what you feel. And that has worked so well. I mean, it's just amazing what people come up with that you yourself wouldn't think of. I've referred to him as a music monster to you because I once said to him, HG, you don't seem to ever sleep, and you have new music every single day. I said, how do you do that? I mean, he goes, Melvin, he goes, music is like food to me. I have to have it. I have to have it. I do it all the time. I'd rather do that than eat food itself. But actually, you remind me of him in that way because you just take in music and you can take it in and you always have something to give back with it. It's really a gift, and we're all lucky to be able to that you guys share it with us still, in your case. But this is a song. One day I got home from work and I got online, and there's a message from HG. Melvin, I want you to listen to the song. I think it's definitely for you, and I would appreciate it if you would write some words and sing it to him, and sing in it. So I hit the play to listen to what he sent, and it was just like I did a line of Coke or something. Man, I had goosebumps all up and down me. It's such a beautiful acoustic guitar song. And I mean, he did a whole variety of. He did every genre of music across the board. And this one, it just shocked me. It was so beautiful. So I came up with the lyrics almost instantly, and it was just one of those songs. It just came right to me. I didn't have to work at it. I recorded the vocals like the next day, and he sent the files to me. He did the mix. And this is probably one of my favorite songs out of all the songs I've ever done. And it's probably the one I think my vocals are the best on. And he did a good job of producing it and bringing out the best. So here is Sweet Whispers, and it's basically his message to Hilda, who at the time, they weren't living together, but they were falling in love, and all of vandalism was following their love story. It was like a fairy tale. So once again, here's Sweet Whispers, Never Give Up.
Never give up. No, never give up. When the sun's going down and you're feeling low, surrounded by people that you don't know. Never give up. No, never give up. Just keep your eye on the apple cup. Just keep a picture of me in the back of your mind. I promise everything will turn out fine. Never give up. No, never give up. And one of these days, I'll be there when you look up. Then we'll make all our dreams come true. I'm so in love with you. Life can seem so cruel at times, and if it does, don't pay it no mind. Just never give up. No, never give up. Just keep your eye on the apple cup. Never give up, my darling. Soon we'll be together. Never give up. Oh, please. Just whisper in my ear, you'll always be near. Together we'll build our home, sweet home, and we'll never ever be alone again.
Oh, a magic touch of Beatles inside. Maybe that's a good opportunity to ask you, which music influenced your music most when you had been young?
Well, I don't think it'll be any surprise who
No.
my earliest favorite band was. It was the Beatles, obviously.
Yes.
And it was basically the feel of their songs was just so new and fresh. I love their vocals, and I just love their songwriting. They can move you either very happy or very sad. Eleanor Rigby comes to mind. It was also their use of strings and whatnot in their music. Along with them, the Moody Blues, also because of their songwriting, but the vocals and the use of strings and the storytelling and the feel of their music. Tuesday Afternoon, what an awesome song that is. Also, Jethro Tull. I was just amazed at the quality of what they were writing. It was very complex compared to the other songs, the other bands. But I loved his lyrics and their presentation. And I actually went and saw them several times in concert. And they did they sound just as good in concert as they did on the albums. The Who, the Byrds, once again, because of the harmonies and the 12-string guitar. The Beach Boys, because of the harmonies again. I did like the Rolling Stones, but, I wasn't crazy about them like I was with the Beatles. Their vocal, they didn't really have the vocal harmonies that is what I enjoyed the most in music. So then later on, it was Crosby, Stills, and Nash, definitely. We used to go see them in concert every summer up at Philadelphia at the Mann Center, which is an amphitheater that's semi-outside, outdoors. And the concerts were always great. We always had a good time. So I guess you'd have to say it's definitely the vocal harmonies were always the thing that attracted me most and inspired me most.
Tell us something funny, maybe. When you had been on stage live, what did you wear then? You looked like Elton John?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. We sure as hell didn't dress like Elton John. We pretty much basically dressed to the occasion, which for the most part was doing frat parties or playing at bars. We dressed casual, comfortable. We did get dressed up a little better for when we were doing proms. And of course, with the agent, we were definitely playing a lot. But I have to say that in the beginning, it was fun, and we had a lot of fun. But by the end, before we broke up, it was becoming a job, and seriously a job where it wasn't fun anymore. It was just a lot of work. And part of that was because we realized that, hey, we're not going anywhere, and we will never be able to support ourselves doing this part-time. So, yeah, we were definitely bummed on stage.
Oh, I think for the next question I know the answer. If you could choose a famous musician to make an album with, which one would that be?
Wow, if it was ever possible, if a dream could come true, I would have liked to have made that album with John Lennon, of course.
I knew that.
The theme would be whatever he decided. But no, I would suggest how life can just turn on a dime, and how we can take so much for granted that it'll always be there. And obviously that's not the case, as we have found out all too well with the latest pandemic and everybody being in lockdown and stay-at-home mode. It's just mind-boggling how our reality can be shifted and changed totally in the course of such a quick, short time. It's definitely mind-boggling. And I think even he would be shocked at how things have turned out recently. So, yeah, I would be in total awe just listening to him and learning from him, because obviously him and Paul and George were absolute geniuses of music.
You are a real networker in music. You bring a lot of people together for songs. Which of the songs was, let's say, the biggest, means the most people involved? And was it difficult to manage?
My biggest collabo that's an easy one to answer. It was Keep Christmas in Your Heart. Tommy Johansson did the arrangement. Janice Sam did the lyrics. Tommy also played guitar and did some vocals. We had Chet Fortune on vocals. Joan Burley added vocals, background vocals, and a lead vocal on one verse. Melanie, you also added vocals. Anna Mick did the organ. We had Bryce Cross on guitar. Mark Roadburge was on drums. I I think that was everybody. I hope I didn't miss anyone because it was quite a sizable group. At the time, I was using my 32-track digital recorder, and I remember I filled up all those tracks, so I had to actually pre-mix some of the backing vocals or chorus in order to make space for all the verses. It was a real pleasure working with everybody. At the thing with collaborations, as you get to know people in the back channel dialogues you have when you're trying to come up with, you're exchanging files or discussing different ideas. And the funniest thing is when you send a message and you go on, blah, 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 talking, and then you said, find attached the link to the file, and lo and behold, you forget to put the attach the file, the link, because you're so busy talking about stuff. It was a real pleasure doing that, and it came together really well. So that's the biggest one, the biggest collabo. Here is Keep Christmas in Your Heart. We hope you enjoy it. It's a little out of season, but it's still a great song.
If I had a Christmas, it would be to change the world, to make it a better place for the human race. Let music spread the word across these troubled lanes and reach out to every soul. So peace is all we know. Yeah.
No more wars to fight, no wars to discriminate. Let's all extend our hand to those less fortunate, and to open the door and let your kindness flow. It's easy once you start to keep Christmas in your heart.
Let love be the song, a song the whole world sings. Keep Christmas in your heart, every day of the year. Keep Christmas in your heart.
Ah, yes, Tommy from Sweden was in too. I remember now very well. Thank you for bringing this one. Talking about other collabos, which one was the collabo of your heart, let's say?
I would have to say that because I had a chance to meet Lori Oz in person, face to face, one of the most important songs to the heart was "Here for a Reason." When I met her, she told me the story of her skiing accident and how the doctors didn't know if she would ever be able to walk again, and how she fought her way back to being able to walk and enjoy life fully once again after being in such a dark place. And I said to her, boy, you know, she could have died in that accident, and the fact that she was still here, there must be a reason for it. And she wrote the lyrics. I came up with the music for that, and she wrote lyrics for it, and it basically tells her story. And then she went on to do it in the studio, and I love the way that turned out. She has such a good intuition of how to present her songs the best. Another one would be the song I did with Lars JJ. With these eyes, that basically was just his music inspired me to just look back on my life in the different times and how it goes by so quick.
I think we all know how time flies if you look back. How do you create your ideas? What is about the emotions? Do you have a special love song, for example, for your wife or children?
As you well know, inspiration for music can come from almost any place at any time. For instance, I sit out front on my lunch breaks at work on a bench and just look out and watch the people coming and going. And across the street, there's a tower for the cell phones. And the buzzards like to fly around, and they just fly around and around and float on the air currents. And that inspired a song called Fly With Me.
As time flies with us all. Can you introduce one of the songs very emotional for you?
The song I'm going to introduce here is called Anymore. And it's based on a reaction I had with Kai Botak, which I mentioned earlier, helped me out on Facebook. And this brought all kinds of emotions that almost like a teenager back in high school. And I actually became obsessed with their music. And to my detriment, I just couldn't handle the emotion. I tried to do things that I shouldn't have done, and I regret ever since. It was very immature. But in any case, I would go on Facebook and hope to hear a message from her, and after we broke it off, I never did. But this song was inspired by that, and it's called Anymore.
Catching glimpses of you through your window pane. Standing busy living the busy life of you. Well, I just can't do this anymore. There's no one else to blame but me for sure. Wish you all the best in life and love, and all the greatest blessings from above. 'Cause I don't wanna do this anymore. It's all been in my own head, that's for sure. You're one of the kindest people in the world. I wish you all the best as your life unfurls. Things might be so different in a different time, if you weren't so busy and my youth was still mine. But fate has played its part to bring us to this day. Well, I'm not gonna worry anymore. Happy that I came to your front door. And if I have to watch you through your window pane, I'll just hope for sunshine, not the rain. Another day is gone, and the hour's late. I hope that there's a message for me, no, I still can't wait.
I knew this song before, Melvin, but to know the background makes it much more strong to me. Great piece of music. Speaking about your dreams, which collabo you find is near your dreams? And can you explain why?
Wow. Well, I have to refer back to my YouTube page, and I think there's around 150 different videos posted there. Not all of them were collaborations. Some of them were solo. Some of them were original songs. Some of them were cover songs. But every single one was a pleasure to do. I just have so much fun doing music with other people. I just had to go back to YouTube and check again. It was 8 years ago when I posted the first video. So that's really when my collaboration started. And like I said, they've all been great, and I hate to pick one from all of them because all the artists have been so wonderful to work with, and I really appreciate every single one of them. But since you want me to choose one, and we're going to play it here, I would like to pick the instrumental New Year. This is with Kent Taylor on drums. Kai was on keyboards, Bill Watkins was on bass, and Mr. Bryce Cross on guitar. And the song started out with as usual, I just did an arrangement with my acoustic guitar strumming. And Kai added the piano part that it just made the whole song take on a whole different personality. And then everybody added on to that, and the song just grew into such a beautiful song that it's definitely one of my favorites. But as with your children, you love them all, and each has its own personality, and you love them all in their own way. But for this purpose here, here's the song called New Year.
crème de la crème, we would say in France. Very cool song. But time flies, as we said before, and we have more than 1 hour now. We need to end this interview, and we will end it with another experiment. Can you pick up your guitar and play 30 seconds and sing maybe? As a nice hymn for Radio Raumstation, and to bring the people home with some very original final ending here. Thank you, Melvin, for being here, and all the best. Hope to speak again soon and do music.
Went to the window, looked outside, see what kind of weather might arrive. Each day just comes and goes by so fast. I'm gonna try and live each one like might be my last. And just in case that happens to come true, there's one more thing I'd really like to say. We're here to happy ending. Here to happy ending. Very happy
Thank you so much for inviting me. And to everybody out there, thank you for even putting up with me and joining in on these songs. You guys make everything so much better than I could do by myself. I just can't tell you how much I appreciate it.
My name is Melanie Cully.
Radio Raumstation. 24 hours a day.